The liberal media industrial complex continues to gaslight the American people by claiming that there is no evidence at all of any voter fraud whatsoever. But here on planet Earth, particularly in the state of Georgia, yesterday there was another hearing where it uncovered even more evidence like this.
2,506 felons voted illegally in Georgia. 10,315 or more individuals to vote who are deceased by the time of the election.
I voted in person on October 23rd. I was told that there was an absentee ballot already out for me, but I never requested one. The next day, my mom called the voter center and was told that somebody voted absentee in my name on October 7th.
Those paper ballots were not secure. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican. I hope you'll take what these people are telling you seriously. It's important. The people's voice matters in this country.
And there's nothing to see here either, where security footage shows that the ballot observers were told to go home and the room almost completely cleared out, and then several boxes of ballots were discovered underneath tables and then counted.
So according to the witnesses, the Republican observers, there is a lady who has blonde braids who comes out to announce we're going to stop counting. Everyone go home. And in fact, we see that. What happens is everyone clears out, including the Republican observers and the press, but 4 people stay behind and continue counting and tabulating well into the night. We're going to roll this back and show it to you. There you go. So now they're going to start pulling these ballots out from under this table. I saw 4 suitcases come out from underneath the table. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses? Is the question. So these machines can process about 3,000 ballots an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe that could easily be, and probably is certainly, beyond the margin of victory in this race.
Well, no wonder the media didn't show President Trump's 45-minute address this week of him raising these concerns. That would be very uncomfortable for the American people to know.
Trump is so far gone that I cannot, in good conscience, play the substance of a 46-minute spiel that he spewed tonight.
You're hilarious, Fredo. We all know you have no conscience. But Georgia's not the only state where things just don't smell right. And I'm not talking about Stacey Abrams. I mean metaphorically about the vote count. The Nevada GOP has submitted the following evidence to the court after their audit of the vote, where they found almost 8,000 ballots were cast by voters whose addresses are physically non-existent. Approximately 15,000 votes of people who are registered at vacant properties or commercial properties, meaning, some random storefront. Almost 2,500 ballots by people who legally changed their address to another state or country, meaning, of course, they're not legally allowed to vote in Nevada. Approximately 42,000 people who voted twice in the state. Approximately 1,500 voters who were deceased. And almost 20,000 people cast a ballot in Nevada using a non-Nevada mailing address. So there are legitimate ongoing legal challenges in numerous key swing states disputing potentially hundreds of thousands of ballots that likely shouldn't even have been counted at all. And let's not forget that during the debate, old Joe said that he would wait to declare victory if he was the projected winner until all the votes were counted and all the legal disputes were settled.
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes, and here's the deal. We count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until Election Day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it.
And after the 2000 election, Al Gore didn't concede until December 13th, which is still more than a week away. And back in 2008, then candidate Barack Obama admitted that he had concerns about widespread mail-in ballots and said that if it was going to be done on a massive scale, that the signatures had to be verified.
Very last question. There's word from Florida that they intend to put out a mailing sort of a campaign, an election process whereby they make up for the primary they had before, which was ruled out of order by the Democratic National Committee, and you did not campaign in. They're talking about people mailing in their ballots. Do you trust the security, the honesty of such an election process?
Well, I think we'd have to figure out whether this was fraud-proof. I mean, Oregon, for example, has a terrific mail-in system, but they've already scanned everybody's signatures who's registered to vote so that they can check to make sure that, in fact, the right people are voting. And that's something that I think you'd have to figure out.
And here we are 12 years later, and the Democrats forced it to happen on a massive scale under the pretext of the coronavirus pandemic. And as President Trump pointed out in his address to the nation the other day, the signatures weren't verified. But now it's President Trump who is undermining our democracy, and delusional, they say, for wanting such safeguards.
What we are seeing from the president is delusional weakness, unable or unwilling to accept reality. He is spinning up delusional stories about mass voter fraud and about machines being rigged.
Last week, I showed you a segment that CNN aired years ago addressing their concerns about electronic voting machines being hacked and the vote counts manipulated remotely, specifically on the Dominion voting machines and using the Smartmatic software, which of course they say is just a crazy conspiracy theory today. And here's a segment from MSNBC that aired just last year addressing their concerns about the security of electronic voting machines.
Jake, cybersecurity companies that are involved in this banking, they spend billions of dollars on cybersecurity. Are the kinds of resources necessary to protect voting systems available to election officials in this country?
Well, this is what's so alarming about being here is that you see teams literally of hundreds of hackers in the employ of companies like IBM to be a sort of think tank, a skunk works, for discovering the latest trends in hacking. Well, an election official barely has the money for a single IT consultant, much less anybody coming in to try to imagine what could go wrong if we went at these guys. So for me, the gap here between the billions being spent on cybersecurity across the country by private actors and the fact that they had to buy this equipment on eBay just to test it out, I think that tells you everything you need to know.
Of course, they were only concerned that the Russians were going to hack the machines to help President Trump, but the Chinese would never do such a thing to help old Joe, and the Democrat Party and their deep state operatives certainly wouldn't. The founding fathers of this country set up a genius political system with numerous layers of checks and balances so that whoever was in power or whichever political party was in power, there were limitations and oversights for that power so that it couldn't be abused by whoever held it. That way, governing was as fair and as transparent as possible. But the Democrats want to remove all those checks and balances and all the oversight. They don't want anybody asking any questions about what really happened with this election. They just want to seize power as soon as possible. And if we don't stop the steal, then literal Marxists are going to be the ones pulling the strings of old Joe. Communists like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who despite having a pretty face, has a deep-seated hatred for our country and our culture. And she despises capitalism so much, she's selling this Tax the Rich sweatshirt on her official website, OcasioCortez.com, for almost $60. Tax the rich, huh, Sandy? You gotta be rich just to buy the thing. Who pays $60 for a sweatshirt? In case you haven't heard, I sell sweatshirts on my website too, but they're like half that price, and they have Trump claws printed on the front. And if you want to get one in time for Christmas dinner, or for someone on your list, or anything from my online store, like the classic Liberalism Find a Cure shirt that contains facts and opinions some may find offensive shirt, or any of my awesome designs, be sure to get your orders in now so you can get them in time for Christmas, because it's coming soon. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.